Okay. I'm not going to dance, but I'm looking for Claire Milonas and Alex Oetker. Come on down. This is like turning into a different kind of format, isn't it? What do you think, Tom? Please, welcome. I think I want you guys, how about here? How about here? Claire, Alex. Come on, Alex. Bring it in a little bit. Come on, this is family here. All right, we're changing gears a little bit. We're going from public companies to private family companies, and I'm really so happy that you guys are here.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say it took arm twisting, but a little bit of convincing. But I'm just really grateful. You know, I think all of us would agree that the shipping industry is incredibly special. It's obviously a vital industry. Without it, you know, the world kind of stops. It's also international, which is a lot of fun. But I think one of the things that makes it truly unique is the predominance of family-owned businesses. I mean, George Economou mentioned it earlier. There are just no other global industries that are even anywhere like this in terms of tradition and family. And you guys both come from shipping families, so I'm really excited to have a little time to talk about it. So we have Claire Milonas is co-president of Ionian Management, which is you are a family with Greek heritage, but based in New York. Alex Oetker from a German shipping family. We're going to learn more about both of your families. But again, just thanks for being here. You know, the strength of the community is really helped by having people like you here kind of talking about your businesses. You're obviously not pitching anything or raising money or, you know, you're just kind of here to be part of it. And I thank you for that. Okay, let's start with a little bit of background. Claire, what generation ship owner are you, and how did your family first get involved with shipping? You need the microphone.
First of all, thank you for having me. I am a second-generation ship-owning family member, along with my sisters in the audience, Sophia. And my father got into shipping in the 70s. He was working as an accountant in a Panamanian grocery store and saw the ships passing and decided to serve the Greek customers who were passing through. And eventually made his way to New York City, worked for Theodorokopoulos, and bought a Liberty ship. And from there, he was in shipping.
Wow. That is a Greek dream right there. The grocery store accountant servicing ships in Panama. That's good stuff. Alex, how about you?
I'm fifth generation shipping, and as a good old shipping company and family member, I brought my daughter, sixth generation.
Oh, this is a family affair here.
Family affair. She already Christianed a ship when she was 11 years old at Imabari, one of our 61,000 tonners.
Very nice ship, Imabari. Yeah. Well done.
It's named
Thanks,
like Letizia. It was good. It was actually very good when she was only 11 years old and held the speech in front of all these Japanese gentlemen. Okay. It was really quite something. But my grandfather bought in 1955 100% of Hamburg Süd, which we had for the longest time until we sold it to Maersk some years ago.
Okay. And besides shipping, what other businesses are your families in? I'll start with Alex.
We are actually, my great-great-grandfather, he was a pharmacist. He invented baking powder in Germany. And the first baking powder company was here in the United States called Rumsford. And the second one, we were in Germany. And so we are food makers, actually. Custard, puddings, some people are agreeing to that. Frozen pizza, and pizza, well done. And a couple of other things. Then my grandfather ventured into hotels. Hopefully, you guys have stayed at some of our hotels, which are really beautiful.
What's your favorite of the? Tell us about some of the hotels.
I think Hotel du Cap is very nice. The Bristol in Paris is very nice. Okay. And a couple of the Eden Rock in St. Bart's. Actually, my grandfather bought these properties, I think, because he was afraid of an inflation coming back after the Second World War. He was not so much focused on the comeback of luxury tourism, more in regards to the properties. Okay. So that's how we got into hotels. And we do beer brewery also in Germany.
Wow. Claire? How about you? What other businesses is your family in?
So we have 3 operating companies. One of them is the ship owning in the Caribbean primarily. We also have a fuel distribution business across 7 island nations in the Caribbean. That includes depots and gas stations. And then we have an ownership and operations of some commercial real estate here in the city.
Okay. You guys have you have gas stations in St. Bart's? Can you help?
We've tried. There's a different family there.
We have to talk afterwards.
Take that offline.
It's not.
Caribbean gas stations, Claire, how did that one come about?
Goodness. When we were younger, we were on a sailboat through the Caribbean, and my father stopped into the BVI and couldn't find fuel. And in fact, there was no unleaded fuel at the time there. And he mentioned to someone, he said, can you connect me with whoever is important here? And they did. And they said, if I bring you a vessel tomorrow morning, will you sign a 1-year contract for the utility company? And that's how he started.
So your dad
on vacation.
He was always thinking. Your dad, it sounds like, as the grocery store accountant, and it was a family vacation. He was doing the fuel deal.
He was doing the fuel deal.
Well, it's funny. George Economou mentioned that this morning. That if you want to be successful in this business, it's like 24/7. You have to be dreaming about it at night. And sounds like your dad was in that department.
Most certainly.
Okay, so Alex, you've made it to the 5th generation. Not a lot of families are able to continue businesses, that far down the line. I remember Andreas Soman Powell gave a talk at Marine Money a few years ago, and he said that most families go from rags to rags in 3 generations, and he is the 3rd generation. So I think he was feeling a little pressure. How have the Oetkers been able to do it, like to be able to keep the tradition alive? I mean, you must have how many family members and uncles?
Many. It's not so much the number of the family members. It's more that the family members come from different marriages. That's sometimes, if I may say, adds to the mix of problems you have to address. My grandfather was a great guy, loved him to pieces, but he was a very difficult father to my father, who is the oldest, and then he married 2 times more. And so my father already, there were 3 marriages, 8 children. I'm one of 6, and so it trickles down. It's just a lot of different personalities. So my father was fighting a lot with his siblings, unfortunately, about Hamburg Süd, if we should, order many, many more vessels, or if we should sell. That was just one of the many.
Some were siblings, some were half.
Exactly, some were half siblings.
Okay.
That was all a little bit difficult. Then we split the company in 2. We gave one part of the family a couple of hotels and some other assets, and we remained the food group and a couple of others. And because of that, it started thinking that us remaining 15 cousins who now own the company, we really thought hard how never to repeat that. So we were working with a university in Germany who coached us for 3 years how to find a document which we all signed, even the 6th generation signed it, which is now the backbone of the bylaws of our family company, so that we will never get into a fight again, or if we get into a fight, it can be mitigated, so to say. And so it's all about a really good, strong organization where we split the family from the management. We have a board of directors and we have the shareholder committee. And everything in the family is being taken care of by the shareholder committee, and everything from the markets is being taken care of the management. And we don't really mix it a lot. We don't want to have any of these emotions in the boardroom. So that's number 1. And number 2 is we really try to focus on competency before birthright. We really try to instill in all of us and in all of the 6th generation that there should be no entitlement. You don't earn any spot in the family firm. You also don't earn any payout. If it comes your way, it's good. If not, just start working, do something with your life. And if it later merged with the family firm, it's nice. But it's not always just that single track, I'm a family member, I need to work here. And our parents just have done a super good job. And I would really say to this audience here, it's more what you do as a parent than what you do as a co-shareholder. If you raise good, sane, normal thinking kids, you will not run into such big problems later on.
Wow, that is like, what an incredible story. 16 cousins, amazing. Claire, you are second generation, and we have a lot of first generation business owners here. You guys have made it to a second generation. Any advice for this group?
Yes, I have four pieces of advice because it's extremely difficult when you have a family trying to keep it together in a business format. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of different viewpoints. So the four pieces of advice is one, which Alex pointed to, good governance is absolutely number one. You have to commit to board structures, decision making for the future and how that's going to take place. The second one is you have to decide what you're maximizing for. If you are maximizing for profits, that's one thing. But often in a family business, you may be maximizing for either family harmony or legacy, or if it's the older generation will want to take out as much distributions as they can, and the younger ones won't want to keep it in the business. So you really have to have a strategy about what you think about on that. The third is don't bring your kids in right away. And the fourth is to really over communicate. Just don't assume that another family member thinks the same way that you do.
Have you guys explored this idea of having ownership and management as separate things that Alex mentioned?
Alex seems to have a lot of Oetkers. In our case, we really have managed to keep the business, my sister and I, to my sister and I, which wasn't an easy feat, I might add. But so, and also within the business, I just wanted to add that there's stakeholders, something that people don't fully appreciate. It doesn't really matter necessarily if you are the shareholder.
Yeah.
There are people who've been working there for a very long time, or people who feel like they're part of the business, even if they don't technically own shares.
Yeah.
And you have to take them into account.
Alex, what are you optimizing for? Sorry, Claire. What was your? What are you maximizing? What is your business? Tell us about your business, your ships, your markets, your view.
So I come from a family where my father always told me, Alex, it takes 80 years to build up a good reputation and 8 minutes to ruin it. So I always try to really do only things which I can control to an extent. So when I build ships at Imabari, for example, we usually put them onto a 3 to 5 year charter right away. Or when I did a purchase deal, when I bought a Kamsarmax or a 61,000 tonner, I always asked the person who sold it to me if they can take it on a charter back. So I wanted to do it as safe as possible. That's what we're still doing. We have a fleet. We had a fleet of 16 ships. We're now down to 4. And I'm always looking for ships with a long-time charter or with some kind of coverage. That's what we're trying to.
I mean, is there a target fleet size, or is it the life? I don't want to say lifestyle but I mean, is there like to Claire's point?
What's
the goal?
I'm from Germany, and you guys know the big KG players: Bertram, Rickmers, Erk, Rickmers, all these mega, larger than life personalities. When it comes also to fleets, they had gigantic fleets. Some of them which were financed by the KG system, and there's a beauty of having a large fleet. But then I went to Greece, and I think the average fleet of a Greek ship owner is 2 to 4 ships. And I saw almost no difference between how they were. One was super nice, the other one was super nice. It doesn't really make a difference. If you don't do it for your ego, or if you don't do it for, catching a large variety of charter deals or something like that, you can be happy with 2 or 3 or 4. And I also like to go on the ship. I like to meet the captain. I like to have the captain in our house and have a dinner with him and all that kind of stuff. That you can't really do when you have 30, 40, 50 ships. So to answer your question, I think I will always remain between 5 and 15 to 20 ships. That's sort of my fleet size.
Yeah.
Always bulk carriers.
Okay. And how about you, Claire? What ships do you own now? What would you like to invest in?
We're in the smaller Greek range that you were talking about. So we currently have 3 ships owned and self-financed. And this year we chartered in an additional 4th ship.
Okay.
I'm not sure going forward about the optimal fleet size. And I do look at shipping as a very interesting place for us to expand over time. And I also think it's very I believe that we're headed towards inflation, which the market doesn't necessarily agree with me right now, but I do think it's good to own hard assets, and I think it's a wonderful place to invest in if you can do it the way in which Alex was describing.
You mean buy the Eden Rock in St. Bart's, that kind of thing?
Actually, we have to talk about that.
Right. Go for it.
I think in terms of having ships that are have a charter associated with them, or a very clear pathway towards how you're going to operate them and make money from them.
Are your ships serving your Caribbean gasoline station business?
One of them is.
One.
And the other aren't on charters.
Okay.
Or spot voyages in certain cases. But everything's in the Caribbean right now.
Okay. It's a good time of year to be in the Caribbean.
As long as we don't get shot at.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not good.
We have warships in the Caribbean now, right?
That's true. It's not what I was thinking of, but stay safe out there. It's in many ways it's like a real privilege to be born into a shipping family with tradition and customs and culture and history. Is it also? It also must come with some sacrifice, I would think, in terms of like if that's not what you want to do, if you want to be an architect or a painter or do something else. Do you feel, Claire, did you feel like obligated to carry on the family? I mean, you could have done anything.
Right. To some extent, yes. And I think for those who are first generation ship owners, I encourage you to lay things out in such a way so you give a tremendous amount of freedom to your children in case they don't want to pursue what you're doing. But in my case, I did feel a bit obligated and self-interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Alex? Was it? Did you want to go into baking soda manufacturing?
No. So we always had dinners. We had the baking powder person coming to dinner. We had the hotel manager. Baking powder guy was always a little bit pale. He had his factory in the middle of Germany. It was not very exciting. Door opened. A tan person came in. He said, I just came back from Argentina and Brazil. Alex, you should get into shipping. So I knew I'm going to get into shipping. This is the most exciting. And then we went to a ship christening in Naples at Fincantieri. I mean, you guys have been at the Fincantieri shipyard. It's absolutely incredible. And Bud Spencer showed up to the ship christening. And it was just like in a movie. And, when you grow up as a small kid and you look all these different industries, you said, shipping is it. So I didn't really feel an obligation. I just loved it from the very early stage.
Yeah, that's great. Claire, when an entrepreneur like your dad was building the business, that's like a different risk profile. And George actually talked about that earlier as well, taking more risk and trying to build a business. Whereas when you have an established business, it's a little bit more about protecting the business, I guess. Is your investment style different than your dad's was?
Definitely. I would say that my father, especially in the 70s, it was a little bit of the wild, wild west in shipping. And he was coming from nothing. He took a lot of risks. And as George pointed out, was lucky as well. It's a big part of what happened.
George said luck doesn't matter. Just at the beginning.
In the beginning. In the very beginning. I would say that I'm a lot more methodical and very focused on risk reward in a more methodical way, and so is the team that we built. I'm also an MBA, and I have more of a financial rigor than the back of the envelope calculations that he used to do.
How about you, Alex? Are you is your investment style different? I mean, I guess your family's has sort of changed a lot. It's
more conservative than when my father and my grandfather were running the show, I must say. They were much more entrepreneurial, but that also meant for us as a family, we went into movie financing, we went into steel production, we went into a lot of industries where later they said, that's not our core. We don't really want to do that anymore. We found our core in the three segments we're in. So I think a little bit more risk averse than my grandfather and father. There's nothing wrong or nothing right with it, but we have more rules, regulations, we have more board meetings, a bigger organization, so to say. So you want to steer it a little bit more, slower, a little bit.
Yeah. And in your case, Alex, when you have family members, I mean, you're hands-on, right? You're doing S&P and chartering and financing ships. How do you deal with the situation where you have family members that are shareholders but aren't hands-on?
So when we were sitting together with the university, checking out the new bylaws for our contract, for our family, how we want to go forward, we defined the family as all current shareholders and anyone who has sold their shares. We would still always keep inviting everyone to all meetings. So it doesn't really matter if you have been a former shareholder or if you are very hands-on. We make no differentiation. We love each other, all cousins, all older generation. We always invite everyone if they're active or not. And the second thing I wanted to say, we actually almost encourage people to do something else than focus on our family company. It would be fantastic if one of my cousins would work for one of these tech companies in California and come to our little town of Bielefeld in Germany, where we are, and give us a new set of ideas. Or somebody would move to Singapore and would work in one of the companies over there and would come with fresh ideas. So we actually encourage people not to focus on our company too early, but do something with your life and come back if you want to, but not necessarily.
Okay. Small is beautiful in many ways, not necessarily when it comes to raising capital. Claire, have you raised outside equity? Have you had partners, or how do you look at raising money?
I mean, on the real estate side, we do quite a bit of debt. On the shipping side, we are currently self-financed. Going forward, if we were to expand, that might change. And in terms of outside equity partners, in a couple of limited situations, we have minority partners. But for the most part, that brings in a whole another level of headache.
Right.
We have raised some money in Germany through family and friends and through family offices. I think you have the same here in the United States, that a lot of people who have banked with banks are now taking either the bankers in-house or the money back, and they form some family offices. And in Germany, we have a lot of these situations. And I was working with the family office of Jägermeister, a beautiful drink you guys all know. And they parked all their cash outside of the operations, so that in case something would happen with alcohol, their money would be safe. And so Florian, my age, he knew nothing from shipping, but he had all the liquidity. I didn't have a lot of liquidity, but knew a little bit about shipping. So those kind of situations, that's how I raised some money in Germany.
Okay. And you guys have a lot of things in common, but one of them is Navigator Gas. Navigator Gas is a publicly traded company here in New York, LPG owner. How did you get involved with Navigator Gas, Claire?
So that was the first deal that I got involved with back in 2002. And I recall going down to Credit Suisse to buy the bonds at 40 cents on the dollar at the time. It was a crazy cast of characters, including some Bjorn Asserad, Cayman Islands auction, and Italian financiers. It was really a mess. And I was in the courtroom when it went through bankruptcy. And we still maintain a small position. Andreas Samampau is a classmate of mine, actually. I have good faith in what he's doing there. But it was a wild ride from the beginning.
Okay. And you're still a shareholder, you said?
To a smaller degree, we're still a shareholder. I mean, it went quite high. Now it's somewhat lower.
How about you, Alex? How did you get involved with Navigator Gas?
My father came to New York many years ago when I was only a small child, and my sister was born here, and he worked for Kuhn Loeb. Kuhn Loeb was later merged into Lehman Brothers, and he remained very close to the Lehman people. And then Navigator happened, and they asked my father, do you think your son would be interested to take care of Navigator for us? And then I said immediately, yes, of course, I'm going to take care of that as much as I can. And I was on the board when we had 5 ships and we were in a temporary office in London. I was on the board for 16 years. And you have to imagine, I mean, I'm a son of a baker from Germany. I am from shipping, but I see myself as very junior to all these industry titans. And then we ramped up from 5 ships to 20 ships to 30 ships. And then Wilbur Ross came on board I met Wilbur, and then we had a dinner, and then Wilbur told us that he will become the commerce secretary of this country. I thought, that's incredible, who I'm associating here with. And then Andreas came in, and then Doug von Appen came in.
Yeah.
And so I met this whole private scene, and then suddenly we were stock listed with all these titans. It was a great time. I had a great 16 years of Navigator, I must say. I would do it all over again, and it's always a great company. And I met her father. I was with her father on the board for many, many years. That was also great.
At the Bristol?
At the Bristol, we always hung out at our hotel, and it was just a beautiful story. Totally listed, 100% stock exchange, with a lot of people from the investment banking world around us, while my company was totally private. So I had a good opportunity to always compare how everybody does their business.
Any interest in being a public company, Alex?
No, not really. I think I'm going to remain private. I really like that.
Yeah. Claire, any?
I mean, it was no small feat getting me up on stage.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm a pretty private person, so I find that that's
you're doing great.
So I highly doubt it, but you never know.
Okay. How about George? There's been a lot of talk about activism with the small a. I think Jeff Prebor said strategic ship owners buying shares in public companies. Claire, maybe for you, you must be allocating your limited amount of capital over what you have, but also potential investments. Do you ever think about, like, how do you think about capital allocation, and would you ever look at it being a shareholder? I mean, no Navigator, but beyond that.
Yes, I would. I mean, we have a natural hedge because we're in different businesses, so I do think of capital from a hedging standpoint. And if we maintain a large position in shipping, or whatever position it is, I wouldn't then go further into shipping, but that might change if that changes. And capital allocation, I wouldn't say no to it. I wouldn't say no to any opportunities.
Okay. How about you? Are you investing in funds or anything like that?
I tell you the truth, not at all. In Hamburg, I haven't. But then, is Nico still here? Nico Shoes? I think he was on the panel earlier. In Germany, suddenly Nico bought a part in grain car carriers. Was on fire, as you say. Made a lot of money in that trade. And then the Bunnemann family, Nico Bunnemann, who is a good buddy of mine, he also bought into that deal. Yeah. And then Nico just told me that he bought into a Norwegian bulk carrier deal, and so forth and so on. So all I'm saying is that I'm listening to them, and I think this trend is coming to Germany now. But so far, I haven't deployed any money there.
Yeah. It's been a big move for the Germans. Not very typical.
No, not typical for us, because we don't really have a public market other than Hapag-Lloyd, but it's coming there.
Yeah. I mean, they haven't been hostile activism. So
we are very friendly.
I was going to say,
the Germans are very friendly.
A step too far. Okay, we're out of time. I want to conclude by quoting the late Whitney Houston, who said, "I believe that children are the future." Claire, you're both parents, not together, but...
Yeah, I mean, I have a teenager, so anything goes. Now, my sister has two kids who are a bit older. I hope that they choose what they want to be doing, and it's a little early to tell.
You're not going to put them on a tanker in the Caribbean at this point?
No, not yet.
And Alex, we know your daughter is on the way into the business. Welcome. So I would just like to thank you guys so much for being here and kind of sharing your stories about your families, and it just means a lot to all of us to kind of hear from shipping families. So thank you. And we're going to do a photo, but I want the family members in this one. If you wouldn't mind coming up. Sophia, thank you very much. Thanks, Claire. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much.